Well, Speaker, again to the Acting Premier, there's no way that a political message clarifies things for any ratepayer. The Minister was also asked last week if this line about the borrowing scheme on people's bills would be there after the elections, when bills start to skyrocket again as a result of the Premier's wrong-headed hydro plan. He didn't answer that question either, so I'll try that one again in the House this morning. Will the Liberal government ensure that Hydro One will continue the practice of putting the Liberal hydro plan on people's bills after the election when bills start to skyrocket?
Deputy Premier. Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As the member well knows, all costs right now relating to electricity are being held to the rate of inflation for the next 4 years, something that he voted against, Mr. Speaker. Again, voting against helping low-income individuals, voting against giving all families a 25% reduction. And when it comes to actual time-of-use pricing, Mr. Speaker, the OEB is very clear, and they announce every 6 months, Mr. Speaker, what they believe the price should be. And that is something that has been done for quite a few years, Mr. Speaker, to make it as clear as possible for people to understand where bills are going. And we're going to continue to see that happen, Mr. Speaker, because our regulator is a quasi-judicial organization making sure that they keep the interests of ratepayers at heart, Mr. Speaker. But when it comes down to, nuts and bolts, Mr. Speaker, it's this government that made sure we brought forward a plan that helped every family right across the province with a 25% reduction, and it's the opposition parties that voted against it, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Supplementary.
Thank you, Speaker. Again to the Acting Premier. If this is about people having more information on how the amount on their bills is calculated, then the line item about the plan should be a full explanation of the borrowing scheme. It should include the fact that any relief that people are seeing is temporary and that bills will go back up again. People should know that their hydro bills will be more expensive in the future because of this plan. Will the Premier commit to including a full explanation of the effect of the hydro borrowing scheme on people's bills, including the $40 billion in new debt?
Wow. Thank you. Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. You know what the people of Ontario need to know? It's that party voted against giving them a 25% reduction on their bills, Mr. Speaker. It's that party that voted against helping low-income individuals, Mr. Speaker. It's that party that voted against giving First Nations a delivery credit, Mr. Speaker. It's that party that actually voted against the RRP, giving northern and rural customers a 40 to 50% reduction on the bill, Mr. Speaker. It's that party that continues to vote against everything that'll help people in this province, Mr. Speaker. It is this government that brought forward a plan that makes sure that we can...
Somebody questioning my resolve? Finish, please.
It's that party, Mr. Speaker, that continues to vote against ideas that actually help families right across this province, Mr. Speaker. It is this government and this Premier that will continue to act to make a difference in the lives of people of Ontario each and every day. We can rely on them to vote no to that too, Mr. Speaker.
Final supplementary.
To the Acting Premier, and you can be sure, Speaker, that adding $40 billion in debt to hydro bills will make a difference in people's lives. You can be sure of it. The Hydro One bill redesign was directed by this Liberal government. The Premier ensured that the Liberal campaign message was included on people's hydro bills, and she refuses to commit to including the full effect of the $40 billion hydro borrowing scheme on people's bills. Why are the Premier, her minister, and the Liberal government focused more on their re-election than on the tough task of making hydro more affordable for people in this province?
Thank you. Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This government has been focused on reducing bills for customers right across the province for years, Mr. Speaker, and we never could rely on the opposition supporting that, Mr. Speaker, because they always voted against it. They voted against, as I said, the Ontario Electricity Support Program. That actually doubled, Mr. Speaker, help for seniors, help for low-income individuals, help for...
For the member to cross. Finish, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The fact is, Mr. Speaker, a 25% reduction was put in front of this House to make sure that we can help every single family in this province. And the opposition voted against that, Mr. Speaker. The fact is, Mr. Speaker, that we had a 40 to 50% reduction to help northern and rural customers. The opposition voted against that, Mr. Speaker. Now they come up with pie-in-the-sky plans that won't do a thing to help families in the...